Well, today I am really excited to be welcoming one of my favorite persons, and I think as of tonight you're gonna find her one of your favorite persons as well too. How are you guys doing? Hi, Tasha. Hi, Iona. Yoga. How are you guys doing today? Yeah. Thumbs up. Fantastic. Excellent. Well, summer is here and I'm loving this. I'm loving the weather. And I see Deborah is joining us shortly. And hi, Deborah. Welcome. And she will be joining us any minute now. She's connected. And here you are. Hello.
Hello.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. I'm going to raise my phone up a little bit so I could see you and then my head is not being cut off. I have this little system here, I think. After a while, you get to know what works and what doesn't work. So,
Of course. Yes.
how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm actually trying out my new standing desk, hence why I'm up a little higher.
Okay, so it sounds like we still, I don't know what's going on. I guess at 8 o'clock at night, everyone is really busy. So internet tend to be a little bit stagnant.
Yeah.
So from your end, I'm getting a little bit of um, challenges with your internet, but hopefully we'll get through this tonight. We will get through
Fingers crossed.
this. I miss you.
Likewise.
I miss
Likewise.
our
It
little Starbucks run from time to time and learning all
yes.
about the crazy stuff that you're doing one after another. I thought I was busy, but your life is extremely busy too.
Yeah, it's always perpetuating creativity and trying to get things moving and I probably am not that person who's going to grow a lot of moss on me. I don't like standing still for too long, although I appreciate stillness. So if that's a contradictory statement, I don't know what else is, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. Our Starbucks is not even open.
I know, but hopefully it's going to be open soon.
I know. There is one open on Bloor and up on St. Clair, so
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I mean, like after a little bit, then we'll have to get together.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So, as you know, Sunday is International Cancer Survivor Day.
Right.
And so we are doing a series of interviews with our ambassador. I can't tell you how excited and how honored I am to just be able to sit with you guys and to hear your story and to be able to share that with the rest of the world because I know who you are and I know most of your stories. In your case, you're not just a breast cancer graduate, you're not just our ambassador, but for over 2 years, you have been working hard, inspiring, motivating other breast cancer graduates, um, these ladies as our lead ambassador. What was that like for you?
Well, first of all, it was an honor. I think from the time I was ever diagnosed, it was a case of I wanted to find something where I could connect and have that outreach and being an ambassador and helping to lead and guide the rest of our ladies that were with us was, you know, it was an honor. We had such an interesting mix from age, backgrounds, and a really diverse collective of women, which I think was the most amazing thing because breast cancer affects every single person, or every creed, whatever you want to call it. And being able to be in a collective of women, I think, is a very strong thing. For any woman to be involved in and to see and be inspired by, and from someone who is younger to someone who is older. I mean, we've got some amazing ambassadors, you know, we've got Joyce out there rocking on the dance floor. You know, and as the years have gone by for you, it's been interesting for us to then connect with other ambassadors from previous years and then now moving forward with new ones. That I think is also just broadened the reach of who we can touch and who and how we can speak to them. You know, every time you get another platform to be able to speak, it's amazing. But the things that we've been able to look at and create and work on and have actual input on with you and after breast cancer has been amazing. You know, I can't thank you enough for the opportunity. I mean, that has been a real big, you know, plus in the last couple of years to keep me going.
Yes. Well, it is definitely an honor. The first time I met you, and I remember you were in the boutique and we were talking, and I knew immediately that I wanted you to be the lead ambassador. I wanted to work closely with you. But I know a little bit about you. I'm going to talk about triple negative, but breast cancer a little bit later. But today, what I want you to do right now is to tell everybody who is Deborah. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about you.
Okay. Well, let's see. My story started back in Vancouver. I'm a BC girl, born and raised. I lived there for about 30 years of my life, and then I immigrated to England. And I thought I was going to live there. Circumstances changed and brought me back home to Canada. And I moved out to Toronto in 2006, I guess it was, and things were great. I was building and, you know, moving about the city, learning about Toronto, learning about the diversity in Toronto, and then, you know, jobs changed. I found myself in a situation where I was just starting. I'm in the travel industry. I had moved to a new agency, and within, you know, 6 months, 8 months, I had concerns that I was, you know, possibly dealing with a health issue. And of course, went to my doctor after feeling a lump, noticing it, observing it, and then getting a diagnosis 5 years this year, getting my cancer diagnosis of breast cancer. And then going through that process literally 2 weeks later and coming out to where I am now. Yeah, it's been a very interesting, very complicated journey at times, but I think through it all, I just knew that I just wanted to get through it. I didn't want to stall anywhere, and I wanted to always keep having, you know, happiness and smiling and joy there, and not be afraid to have conversations about it. That is something that I really know I try and have often. If someone wants to talk to me, let's talk. Let's have that conversation. You know, maybe there's something that I've experienced that would help someone else, and vice versa, and then passing it on to the next person. I've always been that knowledge is power, and, you know, one of my new things I seem to say often is, you know, when your fear outweighs your knowledge. You know, it's so applicable right now. In the times that we're living in, our fear is outweighing our knowledge quite often for us to move forward. And I think that's where we just, you know, you make a conscious choice. And I hope that anyone who's watching and listening is understanding that they have choice. And we always forget sometimes that we have choice. You know, it may not look like we do, but it's one thing that's empowered me to get through what I've gone through. Yeah. That, you know, friends, good friends who can be supportive, but, you know, also losing friends. Cancer is not always a friendly journey, shall we say. You learn who has the strength to go through it with you, and who needs to step aside. And sometimes that's really challenging, more than going through all the treatments and going through everything else is who shows up for you. That is something I try and do for others, and I have been doing. And I think, you know, when you and I met, I was actually trying to show up for a previous ambassador who we didn't know we were connected through that person. And it was just showing up, you know, just being there and being supportive, going to a chemo appointment. I tried to have friends come and be at my chemos with me, which was something I recommend to anybody. Have a support person. Have somebody you can go to. Have somebody who can come with you.
Yeah.
You know, And if you don't have that, there's, you know, we're talking right now through a virtual medium. We can still have somebody with us and drive everybody nuts while we're in treatment, talking on our phones, you know, going like, okay, what now? But yeah, I think, you know, it gave me more strength than I had anticipated. I thought I had a lot of strength, but it's just empowered me even more. And it's empowered me to want to do more. You know, sometimes, as you alluded to earlier, I get a little crazy. I'm trying to do everything all over the place, trying to be involved as much as I can with projects that are giving back, that have the same kind of ethos as I do. So that's what also drives me forward.
I think that is awesome, because Patty Cake is saying now she had someone different come with her two chemos, and it was amazing.
Right.
Like yesterday, Susan Fulford was the same thing. I think that is the theme, that one of the things that you guys learned is having someone there, building the tribe, building your support system, which I think is important. I know I didn't tell you about this, but I wanted to ask you only, and I know I could ask you, most people just say breast cancer, right? There's a lot of people out there who don't understand and who don't know there is different kinds of breast cancer.
Absolutely.
You are triple negative breast cancer graduate.
Correct.
In your own words, tell us what that is. Educate somebody who have no idea what a triple negative breast cancer is.
Well, I probably would make the biggest reference to one of the best resources that's out there, which is the Triple Negative Breast Cancer Foundation. I was introduced to them back in 2016. They are the best online resource that you could find to have support, to have information, to be able to ask questions. And they, you know, have been very clear about how they can explain who gets and who doesn't. And I'm just actually up on their website right now, and they've got 3 myths about triple negative breast cancer, because it does affect about 15%. Some doctors may say as low as 8% of us get triple negative, but I am generally not the complexion who would get it by most people's standards, by the information that has been out there. And that is usually because, you know, there isn't enough information delivered out there, because it's still part of the disease they're still really working hard on. There's so much research in play right now for treatment, but it also means our treatments that we have now are minimal. We don't have all the hormonal therapies because, unfortunately, our hormone receptors are not working.
It's funny because, sorry, you've given us some really awesome information, but of course, internet is fighting us on it. Most of the stuff that you were saying kind of cut out. So I don't know if you could maybe just repeat a little bit, even the website again.
Yeah, so that's the Triple Negative Foundation. So that is the Triple Negative Breast Cancer Foundation. If you Google triple negative breast cancer, they're going to come up on the top of the list. They have great resources. They have great learning. They do webinars often. And you've got a great set of information that you can actually take to your doctor when you want to ask questions, or if he's given you that diagnosis, or if she's given you that diagnosis, you can dig a little deeper. It is one of the types of breast cancer that the treatments, when you're diagnosed, depending on what stage you're at, and if there is perhaps a slight percentage that you might have a hormone receptor that's maybe kind of working, you might have some more options. But those of us that don't, that we are like at 0 or below for our hormone receptors to actually be functioning, we don't get that opportunity to have the same type of treatments. So generally, you see a lot of us end up going straight to chemo before we do anything else, which is a challenge because you have to kind of prep your mind. Okay, I thought maybe I might have surgery first. I thought I might have radiation first. No, it's all dependent on what stage you're actually staged at. But of course, you know, my particular breast cancer, I'm stage 3. So I had a rather large tumor. It had spread to my lymph nodes. And so I had to have chemotherapy. So I had 8 rounds of chemotherapy. I had 30 rounds of radiation. And then I had surgery. And I've had a second surgery to kind of equalize out the shape and try and correct some defects. But now it's a case of we monitor and see. And unfortunately, due to COVID, this was my month to have my meeting with my oncologist and hopefully get the "you're good, you've been clean for 5 years." But I have to wait until November for that, unfortunately, because everything's been rescheduled. But yeah.
But you are used to things being pushed back, and in your journey in life, it's like the common thread, the common things that happen all the time, right? So you're kind of used to this by now. Unfortunately, that is part of the story.
Yeah, and you know, it's hard because I see, you know, my sisters and brothers within this breast cancer community having to go through delays and challenges that way. And you know, it's hard when you first get that diagnosis, because you kind of, if you're an action person like me, you just want to get in and get it done. You know, so if you have to be delayed, I can only imagine that it's a little bit more stressful for people right now than normally it might be, because you've got to be a little bit more patient to get to that treatment. It depends where you're located. You know, different countries are operating in different ways in what they're allowed to go and have for surgeries and treatment now. I just heard that there were some surgeries being done here in Toronto that are new surgeries, so hopefully that will mean the breast cancer community will get their actioning. But you know, if you happen to be in the US, who knows which state you're in, what hospital you're at. Everything is slightly different, but you're not alone in it. Let's put it that way.
Yes, yes. There's always something, right? But the theme is just being grateful and never giving up and always striving forward.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you have to find it within yourself. You know, I recently rewarded myself. It was my fifth anniversary. There's a great collective, a metastatic breast cancer survivor, thriver. She makes these beautiful necklaces with her best friend. So now I'm part of the Thrive gang. I've always referred to myself as a thriver, not a survivor, only because while I was going through my treatment, I didn't want to engage in fighting for myself, because it was energy I didn't want to have in me. I didn't want to have to be engaging in a fight. I wanted to embrace it and let it go at the door, like you do with that guest that comes over that you really don't want to stay for too long. Wow. You know, you want to be polite, you want to be civil, and you want to be like, it's been lovely visiting. Go out.
That's it. Out of here. Yeah, out of here.
Yeah.
Just want to say hello to a few people who joined us. Sasha Lombardi.
Andrew.
Yeah, she used to be, I guess, Miss Canada, right? Andrew, Carter. There's a few other people who joining us. Patty Cake again. Cancer come knocking on our doors.
Absolutely.
And welcome to stay. And I'm with that 100%. Out of here. Absolutely. So, I know you're working on many different projects. So here you are, triple negative. You are a breast cancer graduate. You are the lead ambassador for After Breast Cancer. There is many people out there newly diagnosed, as you know. What kind of a message, in your experience, what are the message you would like to say to somebody? You've navigated the system. How can you now hold their hands, just as how you've been holding our own ambassador, even my hand, educating us? What message you would like to give to somebody else?
I think it probably would be, as I've been doing coaching on my own personally with a bunch of friends and old high school people that I've known and stuff, who've come to me and said, hey, I watched you go through your journey. Can you help me? I'm really wanting to empower people to know that they have the right to ask questions. I think that's one of the things that sometimes gets lost, because we're maybe a bit fearful to ask more questions. We don't want to put too much pressure on our doctors, but it's our right. And I think you need to be reminded that it's your right to ask questions. It's your right to record what they're saying. So if that's written or you need to ask, can I please record this conversation? Ask permission. We all have these amazing phones these days. They all have recorders in them nowadays if you have a smartphone. As long as you're asking permission, you should be able to record it or have that secondary person with you so that you're not missing information. Because especially depending on where you are, if you're having treatment, chemo brain is a real thing. It is something that can linger. I still have remnants of it. It is hard when you can't articulate what you want to say or what you want to remember to say. So, you know, those are the basics of going into appointments, going into sessions, but also to build your team. Figure out who can be your team. And that might be like us right now, virtually. You may not have a person. You know, there's a lot of people out in rural areas who don't have access to their person because their person lives in the city, but their hospital they have to go to is further out. Build in a rapport. You know, I've been very blessed to be connected to so many people around the world and also, you know, to our neighbors down in the south in the US, that when I get online, I now have so many subgroups of women and men that I can reach out to and say, I have a question. I'm struggling here. I don't understand. Have you heard of this? Facebook has tons of groups for breast cancer support. Whether you are metastatic, whether you are stage 0, stage 1, there's something for everybody out there, you know, but to also just remember to love yourself. And it's really probably the hardest thing to go through this because you're not going to resemble yourself perhaps. You may lose your hair, you may lose your eyebrows, your eyelashes, you may put on weight, you may lose weight. But if you look in the mirror and you look with your eyes, remember to tell yourself that I love you and you are worthy of everything that I have to offer you. Because we have to be the charge to lead everybody else around us. It's really hard to be, you know, solely dependent on everyone else to make us heal because the healing has to come from within.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You know, I part of me feel so honored to be here and listening to you, but part of me is also like, damn you, internet. I wish I could get the whole story, and I hope everybody else will get the whole story. And definitely we'll have to redo this, and maybe we'll say goodbye to IG and go on Facebook and do a Facebook Live for other audience out there, because I know you are so passionate. But what I love about you is your honesty and your openness and your willingness to share your journey with others. And I'm totally honored to know you. Before we end tonight, is there anything else you would like to say?
Wow. That whole, you know, cheesy live, laugh, love, you know, those 3 words. And reset and restore and rewrite your story. This is a new chapter in your story. So, you know, I think we forget that we have to believe in ourselves that we can get through something. But if we can refocus, I hate the word pivot. We use it so much right now during COVID. It's not my favorite word anymore. But, you know, there's hope out there and there are people out there. And if you just believe that you can reach one person, that's all it takes is one person for you to not be alone. And there's so many ways to do it, but even just to connect. And if you want to even talk to me, catch me on Instagram, catch me on Facebook. I'm Travelicious D. I'm not hard to find. You pop Travelicious D into Google and I'm there. But, you know, I'm more than happy to talk to somebody and connect them with the appropriate people or services that they might need to have. I mean, I can't know the entire globe, but I certainly have a good network to be able to connect. And that, I think,
I'm
is
quite
the
sure if it was up to you, you would know the entire globe.
I'm sure there's a few people I might not want to connect with, but, you know, that's human nature. But no, I mean, within this community, I think as a whole, most people are very giving. When you know that you are having a shared experience with someone, it's natural to want to have a conversation perhaps. And we know that a lot of people are very private. You know, some people may never disclose.
Yes.
But there is always 10 more that will.
Yes.
You know, I think there's definitely more that will than won't.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. Well, I just want you to know, and I'm looking in your eyes and saying, I love you. I think you are awesome. You have been a source of blessing in my life. And I couldn't have done this and come this far without your support. And yes, now that we are moving from one normal to another normal and doing a lot of things offline and not seeing each other, and we don't know when we might start going back to somewhat of a normal. I
Right.
am so glad that I know that if I need help, I need support, I need anything, I could reach out to you, because that is the kind of a foundation you laid with me. And I am thank you for everything that you've taught our ambassadors, and thank you for the work that you have done with After Breast Cancer.
Thank you. I share the same sentiment back. You know, there is, when two women who are strong come together, they either butt heads or they work through and they get to the other side. And you and I share something that I think, you know, will last for a very long time, because we are strong women, and we do appreciate each other in the way that we should. And I think, you know, I'm just reading here that Patty has her husband saying he was able to cope because she was so strong. You are awesome, Patty. But your husband's also awesome because he stood up and was there to be with you. And I think that is something, if I can leave with that, is whoever comes to support, they are your champion, and you need to acknowledge them for that, but also understand that they are not always going to be the strongest. So if you're showing strength, we will emulate it. You know, and yeah, I think this is a great opportunity. Obviously, you know, internet and Wi-Fi and all that great stuff sometimes distorts what we're trying to say because we look all garbled, but you know, I think we know that the sentiments are there, and yeah, I appreciate having this opportunity.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you soon. All the best.
All right.
And as I said, I think she is one of the most strongest, awesome women, and you would love her as much as I love her. And yeah, I hope, based on her energy and what she's saying, I know some of the stuff was not, you couldn't hear because of the internet. I think her message is strong, and we certainly will do it again. Patty, hats off to your husband, and please show him, let him know that how much you appreciate him being there for you, because sometimes not everyone is strong enough to stay through a journey like that. And I've seen a lot of relationship that didn't make it because people don't know how to cope and how to just sometimes be still and let you vent or let you go through, because you in your own mind don't even know what's happening. There's so many things that's hitting you left, right, and center. So hats off to all of those wonderful husbands who stick by, boyfriends, girlfriend, partners, whatever it is. Thank you so much for joining us today on our Instagram Live. And we will be back tomorrow. Thank you, Patty, again. At 8 o'clock, we have, yes, it's okay. Crying is healing. Crying is healing, right?
Crying is the most, you know, it's the most cathartic thing you could ever do. And I'm not the best crier either, but I've probably cried a lot more through this past week that I can attest. It still has the same effect. It is that cleansing, you know, you're able to get something out, and that should never be shameful that you're crying. You know, you're able to cry together, I think helps to bond. You know, when we're actually able to let our guard down enough to do that, that is probably the most amazing thing, because that means we are at our rawest. We are, you know, that vulnerable, that we are just that open to each other. And I think that happens all over the place. You know, it's happy tears of joy, sadness, anger, frustration. The relief that you get once you've done it is amazing. And, you know, I need to be in better practice of it myself, because boy, do
Well,
you sleep really good after a good cry.
I think anyone who knows me know that I am not afraid to cry. It just comes out. I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. I cry when I'm up and down. It doesn't matter. It just comes on, right? And I wear my heart in my sleeves, and that's unfortunately is one of my things that I can't help it. Sorry.
I agree there, Patty. She's saying have your moment, but don't live there. Absolutely. Forward motion.
That's it. Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
it's like if anybody's, I drive an automatic now. I don't drive standard, but I remember trying to learn how to drive standard and getting stuck in those gears. It's the same with life. You don't want to get stuck in that gear. You want to be able to get out of it, but it's okay to be in it for a moment. And I think, you know, if you can empower yourself to keep that mindset every time something happens that you feel is a setback, and you can push yourself forward, then the outcomes you will have, especially for having treatment, will be that much better, because your body and your mind are connected. And we forget that sometimes, and we go, oh, but I'm having surgery, so I'm going to stress out. And then you empower yourself because you had your moment and you move forward. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Thank you so much, Dee, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you for joining me and having fun together and educating the world
soon.
And speaking out. So thank you so much. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
All right.
So, okay, bye. So a big thank you to everyone, and I look forward to seeing you back tomorrow at 8 o'clock, where we will have another really strong woman joining us, and I think you're gonna love her as well too. She is really awesome. She's a go-getter. And then Sunday is really special because we have 2 guests. Can you believe this? One is a tree. She's calling from South Africa. Diana, she is awesome. I think we have already posted our notice on our Instagram. So please follow her, look her up. You're going to love her. And the awesome Dr. Christina will be joining us from Arizona, and she is awesome. She's real. I just love listening to her. I love listening to her story. So to everyone for joining us today, thank you so much. You are awesome. Thank you for your messages. Patty Cake, thank you for and join us again, okay? And hopefully we will connect soon. Thanks, guys. Have a lovely night. Bye-bye.